I want to get my guy Jason Aponte's advice on this. So, Jason Aponte, man, good morning. How you doing, bro?
Good morning, Crocker. And I heard you talking about my guy Cam Newton. We got some breaking news that he's actually in Carolina right now. They're looking to bring him in. So might have a reunion with Cam. And a little
Wow.
bit of the disrespect that was thrown around with Cam Newton. I don't really like that because I'm glad that you brought up the fact that he was very sharp. And people make it seem like Mac Jones did beat him out. But it was more about, at that time, Bill Belichick prioritized two things. One, you can't really take a chance with Cam right now because of what was going on with COVID. And then two, it's like, man, let's just give the rookie reps. And I'm glad you talked about how Brady started, right? Because it was defense and it was very much just, don't do anything to blow the game. That's what Mac Jones is doing right now. And for everybody who's like taking victory laps around, it's like, man, that's pretty much what everybody thought he would be coming into the league. So I'm glad that you really talked about that because I'm tired of people making it seem like Mac Jones is doing something that nobody expected, or if people were calling him a bust. He's doing exactly what everybody believed that he would be doing. Anybody who watched him, he was the most pro-ready. I hate that term, but the most pro-ready, right? And I think that right now you're seeing it. So,
Right. Now, what do you think about how like the 49ers have handled this situation with Trey Lance? And I came on yesterday and I talked about how I feel like they've made it even more difficult, and not just for Trey Lance, but for Kyle Shanahan as well, because the season hasn't gone the way they wanted, even with him having a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback who he was expecting to win games with. 49ers are 3-5. And I almost feel like right now, if Kyle Shanahan goes to Trey Lance, people are going to expect him to be the savior and salvage this season. And it's like, if you were 3-5, if you started the season 3-5 with Trey Lance, but you're seeing things, I mean, look, what was your tweet about Justin Fields after the game? I saw your tweet like the next day after the game. What'd you say?
right, like if you're a Bears fan and you woke up Tuesday morning, you feel like you won the game. Even if you
Right.
lost the game, you saw the glimpse, right? And if you start Trey Lance week 1 and you're 3-5 and you see progression, this fan base would be much more at ease right now. And that's the problem. You're in no man's land right now, and the kid's not developing. And I feel like it's unfair because Trey's going to have those unfair expectations that you talked about, right? He has to immediately come in and step in and play well. Look, Justin Fields, and we talked about it the last time we were on here. Justin Fields did not look good the first few weeks. It looked very bad. Like, remember what was it? 1 passing yard or something like that? Like, it was very bad.
He netted 1 passing yard. He got sacked 9 times. The big issue was everybody was saying, well, he held onto the ball too long in college. He's doing it as well in the NFL. Everybody was really down on him. And I will also say that Fields has not lit the world up, but he has shown the talent, the ability to do the things that you thought he would do. And people are extremely encouraged by that. You know what I'm saying? When I look at Trey Lance, even in the first game, like he's only had 1 game and people are writing him off already. I'm like, dude, his 1 game was more impressive than everybody not named Mac Jones, right? And you expect him to improve each week, still have some downs, still have some ups, but he hasn't even began to really show you exactly what he could potentially be because he's only been able to play 1 game and people are already like, oh no, they should have drafted this guy, drafted that guy, and it's like, dude, like let this guy play who was not bad. Like when you talked about some of these other guys' performances, like I looked at Zach Wilson and I looked down. It was 3rd quarter in the game. And he had 4 interceptions and 4 completions, and it was in the 3rd quarter. Like you said, you talked about Justin Fields and his netting 1 yard in an entire game, 1 yard passing. What the hell? I've never heard of that, right? These guys have been able to have their ups and downs, and they're able to play through it and build up some momentum of how well they can play. And I feel like Trey Lance has kind of been robbed of that.
Absolutely. And you're right? Like we talked about it too. The way he goes through progressions for a guy who's never really played, he actually does it. He does it, much better than you thought that he would at this point. I kind of wanted to touch on what you were talking about in camp, right? Because I was at camp every single day that it was allowed for people to be there, right? And you and I talked almost every single day. And I almost want to like go back to the conversation we had like on day 3 when you were like, all right, talk to me. And I was like, bro, it's over. Right? I told you, I was like, it's over. Yeah, I was like, it's over, man. There's no way that this kid's not going to win this job, right? So what happened, right? Like what happened? So I think a little bit of what happened was, and this is going to probably lend a little bit more to the whole crush his confidence thing. Trey Lance was doing things that, Mike Silver and NFL Network, right? Nothing against Mike Silver, but for him to talk about what happened in camp, you were there one day, bro. You were there one day. I was there 2 weeks. Stayed away from my family on the other side, and I was there every single day. Made a report every single day. What happened is that when things were going right with Trey, all of a sudden he tried to like make him do things that he wasn't ready to do just yet or not good at. And what I mean by that is the NFL Network people show up, he unleashes his own read. Everybody loses their mind. And they're just like, look at this, look at this. And then the next day it's like quick dropbacks, short throws, intermediate, like, like that same sort of offense that Jimmy Garoppolo was running, right? Now, for me, I don't know better than an offensive coordinator or, a genius or a head coach like Kyle Shanahan. And I understand you want to work on those things, right? But it was kind of odd to me that they would kind of put him in a position where he's going to struggle doing those things in a way that you can say, all right, now look, he's not doing this well. It's time to just go back to Jimmy. That's where I have a little bit of an issue with what happened in camp. Again, I don't know what the plan is, and maybe there is some grand plan with Kyle and everything as well. But to make the kid do things and almost put him in a position to fail at it is almost the way that you can say, okay, now look, here it is. And now look, Jimmy Garoppolo could be there. So look, no disrespect to Mike Silver, but you were only there for one day. How do you know what happened, right? Unless somebody's telling you something. So like in that way, I kind of feel like sometimes the stories from these people, obviously they have great credibility. Mike Silver is one of the most respected guys. But how do you know, man? Like when I was there, the kid was lighting it up. I promise you. I talked to Crocker on the phone, and I was like, "It's over, man. I don't see how this kid is not going to take this over." And then as we talked throughout the days and our conversations, I'm just like, "Yeah, high throws. Yeah, like they just were running the ball with him, second team reps. Never really felt like he got a fair shake with the first team or ever really got a shot to really, really compete for any sort of quarterback competition."
With Mike Silver, this is what he's hearing. Like someone told him this. So I don't even think it's necessarily with him being there that he's hearing like, oh, he kind of lost his confidence at some point talking about Trey Lance. I think somebody told him that from inside the building. So if that is the case, again, how do you help that? It helps when you do what the Patriots did. They got rid of Cam Newton, right? And Cam Newton said it. Like, he did that little interview with his dad. And was like, they had to have me going because Mac Jones couldn't have me behind him. You know what I'm saying? Like Mac Jones couldn't have me behind him because he's too like polarizing of a figure. And, Mac Jones would be looking over his shoulder. And that's some of the things that could kind of hurt your confidence as a young guy as well, kind of afraid to make mistakes. And I think if you want to talk about how they're bringing along Trey Lance, depending on what it was that they saw, again, if it wasn't for what we heard was coming out for the first couple of weeks, if it wasn't for that, then I don't think anybody would be talking about this. But the fact that you saw all the things you saw and there was so much excitement and the guys like Mayoko and all these other guys propped up this rookie so much on how he was playing. When you look at that, that's when it's like, okay, what can we do to take this to the next level? And you talked about some of the things that Jimmy offered. No, do the Jimmy stuff. Do that. Improve on that. But let's not let's not go away from that. Let's continue to build on that. As well as the other things that he does. The best thing at that point, though, which again, this is hindsight, man, and I hate hindsight. But the best thing that they could have done was let him go. Let Jimmy Garoppolo go. Roll that money over, let him go, roll with your rookie, and let him have his ups and downs. And you will be better for it down the line. And they just didn't do that. And it's tough. And we see the other guys who similar things. I think it would have been very easy for the Bears to go back to Andy Dalton, right? When UC Fields go out there and net one passing yard, only threw for like 60 yards, outside of the sacks. He threw for 130 yards in his first game and a half that he played in. It would have been very easy to be like, we're going back to Andy Dalton. They didn't. They let the kid play. And they're losing right now. They've lost 4 straight. So we're not saying that it's resulting in wins. But it's about the development of this kid and potentially. And even though they've lost 4 straight games and they played against really good competition, right? They played against aside from the 49ers,
Pittsburgh.
but the Pittsburgh playoff team, Buccaneers playoff team, who they
played the Raiders. They won that game.
I know, but there was another team that they played to that they lost to. That's part of the losing streak.
Cleveland. Oh, right now? Oh yeah, I can't
But
remember
I
off the
mean, but
top of my
maybe
head right now.
Cleveland, another playoff team. Like, so he was playing against like big time competition. It wasn't like he was just playing against. But even then, it hasn't necessarily resulted in wins. But the confidence there, you're building on what he can do,
Oh, Green
and we
Bay.
see him. Green Bay, there we go. Green Bay lost that game, right? But they're encouraged. And I think when you look at the
Yeah.
49ers right now, they don't know what's going on. Here we go. Let's
Right.
go with
And
this
that,
contribution. They did it on purpose to pump up Jimmy's value. It failed.
I
I
mean,
don't think so.
I I just think that Kyle Shanahan kind of mismanaged this in this way, right? And I think it's a little bit of an old school mentality that's kind of played out in terms of, oh, you got to sit the rookie. You know, you can't play him in year one. Hey, man, ask Cincinnati how they feel. Obviously, Joe Burrow was somebody who played college football, was a little bit older. Ask Arizona how they feel. Even Josh Allen, right? Josh Allen is probably the one that everybody draws the comparisons to Trey Lance, right? I'm not completely on board with that because just because the guy's big and strong and fast doesn't mean that they're the same person. But he took his lumps, and Buffalo went through it. And those guys, that fan base was fine with it as long as you commit to it, right? But when you start selling this fan base 2019 vibes, we're gonna run it back and everything. No, man, no. If you would have went right to the rookie right now, nobody would be complaining at 3-5 because the kid would be
Right.
progressing. And like you said, Justin Fields is taking his lumps, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I was scared, Croc, because you know I'm a big Fields guy. I was scared, man. Like, I was just like, after that Bucks game, I understand that he was put in a bad spot right there. I was like, oh my God, man. Like, did I miss this evaluation? But they allowed him to stick through it. And like you said, they've been losing games, but they're seeing the fruits of the labor. You're seeing it little by little come together. And that's the thing. Not everybody, it's not a one size fits all way for quarterbacks to develop. Some guys develop faster. Some guys develop a little bit slower, but you have to be willing to sit there and go through the development process, and you have to be patient. And I think that's kind of what it is. So, and when you talk about the money and everything as well, too, here's another thing that Kyle Shanahan did wrong. Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford, Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Darnold, every single quarterback that could have possibly been available. You trying to get away from this man, but Jimmy's your guy. Come on, man. Stop lying to everybody when you know for a fact that you've been trying to replace this man for 2 seasons already at this point. And that's not a knock against Jimmy. I'm just going off of what Kyle Shanahan is doing. You know, like I don't necessarily think that Darnold would have been an upgrade or even Teddy necessarily or anything like that. But you've been connected to all of these guys, man. And then at the end of the day, when you don't get one of those veterans, you make a move to 3. But then you still stand there on the podium and it's like, Jimmy's our guy. No, he's not. He hasn't been for a while. You've been trying to get away from him for 2 years already. So why are you lying to people? And then in the face of development, not playing Trey Lance. I think that's my issue more than anything, Croc.
Yeah. We see this right here from Coach Karan Johnson, and he says they did it on purpose to pump up Jimmy's trade value. I truly believe because Kyle, I don't think obviously if Jimmy played well, it definitely helps the trade value, but I don't think that they would play Jimmy because of that. I think the only reason that they play Jimmy Garoppolo is because they feel like Jimmy gives them the best chance to win. And in the process of Jimmy doing that, it pumps up his value. But I don't think their thought process is, hey, we're going to sit the rookie because we want to be able to get some trade value for Jimmy. So we're going to play Jimmy and pump up his value. Like, I don't think that was a thought process, especially because these coaches, they want to win. And I think that's been his
and that's the thing.
main focus. And I think that it's almost been, and I get it, you want to win, but you almost kind of value that even or the potential of winning because you're not winning over the development of your young guy. We got I got Chris here. He says Fields' last 2 games better than any Mac Jones games. Okay, hold on.
Well, the one game that I'll point to, the Dallas game, I feel like, and the Tampa Bay game, I feel like those were the 2 games that I could look at Mac Jones and say, all right, I see it now. You know what I mean? Like, I'll give him that.
It's tough because they just look different, right? I think that's it. That it's hard to compare Fields and Mac Jones because of how they play, like stylistically. So you can say, yeah, Fields' last 2 games are better if you want somebody that's continually pushing the ball down the field and running for first downs and things like that. But Mac Jones, that's not the way he plays, and that's not the way he's going to win. So I'd say with how Mac Jones plays and within or what that is for that team, he has done an exceptional job. And it has led to more wins than what we've seen from Fields. So I can't say that Fields has had better last 2 games when he's losing. But then on the other side, you got Mac Jones, who's on a winning streak, and he's been very efficient. And I've seen him push the ball down the field a couple of times as well. Like, no, Fields is not playing better now. But again, the Fields is better in the sense of what you want from your quarterback, right? From like a high level, high ability standpoint. But it's not better from just a pure quarterback standpoint because Mac Jones has been very efficient. He's been really good and is resulting in wins. Now, again, there's context. Again, I talked about Patriots defense. Like the defense has been lights out. They've forced plenty of turnovers every single game. I see the corners getting picks, taking stuff to the crib. But Fields, he's done really good. And I get more excited about that and where that's going because I think that's just tougher to defend week in and week out. But Mac Jones, with what they've asked of him, his games have been better.
He's operating the offense the way that they need it, right? Like I'm tired of people pointing to this Jets game as like, oh, look how he crushed the Jets. He crushed the Jets, man. They won 55-6 by running the ball and just destroying them on the defensive side of the ball. All he does is not turn the ball over, and that's fine, right? Like that's fine. But at the same time, I kind of understand what you're talking about when you watch Fields on a national stage throw the ball down the field when the Steelers know he has to throw the ball to try to come back into this game and stuff like that. But I am impressed though with Mac sometimes, man. He's a great processor. These are all things we talked about. Great processor, gets the ball out fast. He's really good pre-snap. Give him all of those things as well too. So I think right now, what people should be doing right now with all these quarterbacks at this point. And you know what? Monday I was flying off the handle a little bit with my tweets about Mac because I'm tired of people always tweeting me after Mac Jones has a semi-decent game like, oh, look, you see? And I'm just like, bro, like he was fine in this game and his team won. But what we should be doing right now is just collecting data. That's it on all of these guys. Collecting data. They've only got a certain amount of games. There's no way you can make a determination on who's better than who, especially Trey Lance has only played like, what, 6 quarters? Justin Fields has a few games under his belt. Same thing with Mac. We'll have no way of knowing this right now on November 11th. No way. It's going to take a little while for us to figure out who is who, where they're going to shape up. But right now, there's no way that you can confidently say one way or the other, this guy's better than this guy. This guy is doing that. Like you're seeing glimpses of it, but we should just be collecting data at this point instead of trying to jump to a conclusion from right now, in my opinion.
Right. I agree. And you see right here, Mac is asked to manage the Patriots, which he's doing well. Fields is asked to be the guy, and the last guy failed, which is also doing well considering. Yeah, again, just different circumstances, different situations, but I try to just take all that out because at the end of the day, when I'm looking at the rookies, it's more of just like, what did I think of them? And are they able to do those things? And I think if you look at all these guys, they've shown they have at one point or another. Now it's just being more consistent, which I would say, as far as what they're asked to do and what I thought they would be, Mac Jones has been the most consistent of that, which I don't think is surprising, as you kind of alluded to.
Yeah. And he has a better supporting cast, better coaching staff. That's I think, and you know what? Maybe that lends a little bit more to what Justin Fields is doing because you know that line is subpar. You know that the coaching staff isn't, what you think it is, even though Matt Nagy's have more playoff, appearances than Kyle Shanahan, right? But that's, I think, what I'm impressed with Justin Fields is that when things are going wrong, he continues to like lift the team up, and I think that that's a little bit more where if you're going to say Justin Fields is ahead of Mac Jones, maybe you can say it in that way where he can lift the team up and put it on his yeah, exactly. So there you go, right? Like the team is better, right? And he's being asked to do less, but he's operating it efficiently. He's operating it efficiently.
Yeah,
He's
that's
doing
what
a
I'm
great
saying.
job.
We can't, Chris, we can't do that. Like I can't move the goalpost, right? Like, yeah, like is the team better? Is it better coached? Is it well coached? All that, yes. But I can't move the goalpost, right? I can't say because like Matt Jones is playing well. Like he's playing well, like regardless.
Yes.
And however he's playing and what he's doing is leading to winning games. Like, so it's like I can't. I get what you're saying though. I get what you're saying, Chris. I get what you're saying. But nah, I can't.
But again,
I can't knock what Mac Jones is doing.
right.
He's
But
doing
again,
well.
that's what we thought.
And I just saw somebody say as well, he's taking over for Tom Brady. Like that's tough. Going from, Tom Brady, who all you did was win 20 straight years, to going to Mac Jones, who's a rookie, and people are like, that's the next Tom Brady. And the pressure that has that, I think he's handled that very well, right? Just the expectations of being there and what's being asked of him and who he's taking over for and what that town of Boston or New England, wherever the hell it is, what they're expecting from this young guy. And the moment hasn't been too big for him. I watched him against watch him at Alabama taking over for Tua, taking over for Jalen Hurts, guys that have won like national championships, and he continues to be able to take over for a guy like Tom Brady, and it's not looking bad. And again, even though this is what we were expecting, and we're saying he doesn't have a high ceiling for him, just as well as other guys, this could just be the starting point. Maybe this isn't the best Mac Jones, and I think that's how people are kind of writing it off as if there's no next level for Mac Jones. I agree. I thought, he's more than likely going to be a Kirk Cousins. There's a chance he can be better than that. You know what I'm saying? And right now he's showing, hey, where I'm starting at, I'm at a good starting point, regardless of if my team is good and all that, whatever. He's doing what he's supposed to do. So, I don't want to knock the kid.
Yeah.
He said he's not moving the
again, Fields
Fields does that more.
He does. And
I don't think anybody would dispute that, right?
No, I mean the talent is different. Like it's absolutely different. One's faster, one's bigger, one's stronger, one has a better arm. That's all there. Like that for a fact, right? But again, I just wanna say, like, as much as I love Justin Fields, we should just be collecting data at this point. That's all we should be doing at this point. And I think that a lot of what Matt Jones is doing is what we thought he would be doing. Just a solid guy. He was going to be the one who would come in and just be solid right off the bat. And you knew that guys were going to have growing pains. You knew Zach was going to have it. You knew it was going to happen with Justin. You knew it was going to happen with Trey. It's happening with Trevor. And Trevor is Trevor's been number one since he was born, right? Like it's happening with him. He rarely threw interceptions. It's happening with him as well too. But in terms of safest floor right off the bat, I thought we all agreed it was Mac Jones. I don't think anybody would dispute that. So I think that you're right about that. Yeah, I mean, it is. But Chris isn't wrong in this, right? Like when everything around you is set up to succeed, it's going to look efficient and good. Fields stepped into a losing situation and is growing. Yeah. I mean, you can agree with that 100%. But at the same time, I just think that I'm trying to stay away from making like a huge blanket statement right now based on the fact that these guys have played so little, right? Like even people still ask me, like, do you feel like we should have drafted, Fields over? And like, look, just because I wanted Fields doesn't mean that was the right pick. But right now, you have to like where he's at because of the way that he's growing. He's showing you the glimpses of it. But that's all because of what? He's getting reps. And this team has been committed to him getting reps. It must be nice. It must be real nice.
I will say this. There was someone in the chat right here. Here we go. Patrick Seeley. And I believe he's a Patriots fan. But he said, last running quarterback to win the Super Bowl. And I think you're kind of wording that wrong. It's really more so of last mobile quarterback that can move, right? Like, because even Justin Fields is not a running quarterback.
No.
Really, all these guys, they are the only guy that, like, I would say came out and it was just like, this is a running quarterback. It's Lamar Jackson. And we've seen him improve as a passer. These other guys, they're just dual threat guys, whether it's Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Trey Lance. Like Trey Lance was a passer first. They just utilized his running ability at North Dakota State. But he's a passer. He's a guy that wants to stay in the pocket and throw. Same with Justin Fields. Justin Fields, I felt like at Ohio State, he ain't take off enough.
No.
Right? It was just like, dude, you can take off. You can keep on these read options. Like, he's not a running quarterback. He's a mobile quarterback. He's a guy that wants to throw first. The thing is, as these guys transition to the NFL, some of them are relying on their legs a little bit more to get them by. We saw that with Trey Lance. We see that with Justin Fields. If you watch Trevor Lawrence, watch Zach Wilson. They don't just stand there and throw the ball. They start moving around. Like, they start using their athleticism. So it's not that they're running quarterbacks per se. They are guys that can move, but I'd say all these guys want to play from the pocket. They want to. I just think maybe from a mental standpoint, they're not there yet.
Yeah, and I think that's a last-ditch resort, right, with Fields. Like, you see him take off after he's looking around and he's not seeing anything. It's not like it's a one thing. It's not like he's getting it and bailing, I don't think. So it's always a last-ditch thing, so.
Right, and I see like Russell Wilson. People say like Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes. Those guys, like, they move. Patrick Mahomes, one of the biggest plays he made in the and I say, yeah, somebody said I think Mahomes, one of the biggest plays he made. I mean, outside of some of the plays with his arms, but when they were down to Tennessee in the AFC Championship game, he had like a 30-yard touchdown run. Like, that was a big play for them in that moment. He consistently will like take off and pick up 10, 12 yards consistently, like with his legs, like, you know what I'm saying, like if need be. So they are guys that will use their legs. Now, obviously, some guys to bring them along, you might use their legs a little bit more, and that's what we've seen from Kyle Shanahan. But I don't think ideally that's what he wants to do, and I don't think that's what Trey Lance feels like he only is.
Yeah, and I
And
agree with
also,
that.
I
And,
think you should say, yeah, add like, because everybody says Super Bowl, and at the end of the day, Tom Brady has kicked everybody's ass. Like, so I think we can look at it. When's the last time a guy that's mobile won the Super Bowl and all that, and other? I would say, when's the last guy that's mobile going to a Super Bowl or goes deep into the playoffs? And that happens every single year. And if you're going
Mhm.
deep into the playoffs, you are giving your team a chance to potentially win the Super Bowl. So everybody props up Super Bowl, Super Bowl. Tom Brady had been to 10 in the last 15 years or whatever it is. He's winning most of them most of the time. But these other quarterbacks that are able to move, they are giving their teams opportunities to get there, whether it's Lamar Jackson, whether it's Deshaun
Cat,
Watson who went to the playoffs, whether it's even Josh Allen, he was just in the AFC Championship game. We're seeing that we're going to see Dak Prescott who's able to move, like he's giving his chance he's giving his team a chance to get there. There are a lot of mobile quarterbacks. So again, is it 100% resulting in a Super Bowl win? No. But these guys can move. Kaepernick, that's another guy, went to the Super Bowl. He was inches away or a few yards away from being able to win the Super Bowl. He was a guy that was mobile, and they used his legs a lot. He was there. So you get to the Super Bowl, does that mean you can't win? I don't think so. So I get it in the sense of Super Bowl victories from guys that use their legs more is not quite there, but the ability or potential for them to win is there. Here we go.
and
Got
we're living
another.
in the age of Tom Brady.
Right. We're living in the age of Tom Brady. It's like when Michael Jordan was on his run where he won like 6
Does that
championships in like
right? Does that mean
7
Patrick
seasons.
Ewing and those Knicks weren't good? Does that mean that Charles Barkley wasn't good? Like it's just you're in the age of a guy who is doing something that you're never going to see ever again. So I don't know if that really is a way to look at it.
Here we go. So we got Chris again. He said, "I'm not saying Fields is better. I'm just saying that his last 2 games are better." But what you're saying is because I get what you're saying, but I think you're saying Fields' last 2 games are better because that's what you want from your quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like you want your quarterback to be able to do the things that you saw Justin Fields do, as opposed to what Mac Jones does, which is why most people would have taken Fields over Mac Jones, right? Like we want what he can do, but I don't necessarily think that means that he's playing better. I think it just means that he's on the right path. Chris, do you want to
Yeah,
just come on?
yeah. I mean, it might be better for him to just speak, but no. I mean, I get what again. I understand Chris's sentiment right here, right? I really do, because again, it's about floor and ceiling, and I think that we can all agree that if Justin Fields taps into his ceiling, I don't think Mac Jones can touch that. But that doesn't mean that Mac Jones is necessarily bad, that he won't win Super Bowl. So it's a very nuanced conversation, right? And it's all, and you're right about that. It's about what you want to see, and I want to see it. That's what I want from my quarterback. When things are not going right, can you lift it up? Can you lift the team up, right? Like a lot of what Mac is doing right now is in structure, is in structure with what they did. And they have good coaching over there, man. It helps, it definitely does. But to discount what Mac Jones is doing would be silly, even if I love Justin Fields and everybody knows that. So, yeah, I mean, it's a great conversation because it's about how much coaching matters, how much structure matters, as opposed to can you overcome those coaching deficiencies? Can you overcome roster deficiencies and lift your team up? And I think that's kind of where Chris is at with it. I think he feels like Fields has a chance to carry his team further. And if he's asked to do that, then Mac would.
But
At least
clearly,
that's what
that's
I think.
not resulting in wins yet. So I
No,
can't
it's
say
not.
that
No,
it's
it's not.
better than what
No.
So that's
Mhm.
that's all I'm saying. And
Yeah.
also, there is a quarterback, a mobile quarterback that won two Super Bowls, and we don't look at him as a mobile quarterback, but because of him being old now and how he moves. But if you go back and you watch young Ben Roethlisberger,
Yeah.
watch him at Miami, Ohio. Ben Roethlisberger was taking off. His big ass was moving. He was getting up out of there. He was running. He was picking up plays with his legs. Like he was doing all that. So
Mhm.
I know a lot of people don't look at it like, oh, mobile quarterbacks win Super Bowls, all that. Somebody said Elway. We know that Steve Young. Like, no, there are guys that have been able to move. I think guys right now are naturally just a little bit more athletic. So when you see a guy like Mac Jones, and I saw somebody say, "Well, Mac Jones, he ran 4.78." People act like he ran slow. He did run that at the pro day, so that's is not quite the same. You know what I'm saying? Like it's inflated a little bit, just like a lot of these other times. And also, I'm bigger on just your actual like play speed, because I say if Trey Lance run a 40 time, I don't think it'd be as fast as people think, but he is mobile. He's just more athletic, right? Same with like a Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, I don't think he ran a blazing time. I think he was like a 4.8 guy maybe or around there. But he moves much better than the Mac Jones. So it's not even so much all about the 40. It's really more so what it looks like. And Mac Jones isn't as immobile as people think. I would say that. He
No.
moves a little bit better than most people.
Yeah.
I think they think he's just super statue in the pocket. He moves better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Yeah. But anyways,
Definitely say that.
Jason, appreciate you coming on, my guy.
Hey,
Carry me
Croc,
through
you
a
know
lot
what
of
it is,
this.
man. And I appreciate the guys in the comments saying bring Jason on. I didn't know I was doing this today. I was just sitting here enjoying the show and everything as well too. So I mean, I'm glad that people like what I have to say, and it's humbling. I appreciate that.
Tell them where they can find you, man.
Hey man, Jason Aponte 2103 on Twitter, Jason Aponte on YouTube. Yeah, that's pretty much where you guys can find me. And shout out to everybody showing love. And thank you, Croc, as usual, man, for putting me on here, man.
All good. All good. Appreciate you.
All right, bro.